the ELETECH Baroque Silicon Eartips. Let's talk about it. Okay, yeah, I get it. They kind of look like mints or Lego wheels, but they're ear tips. You guys know how you guys are real fun. All right, so these ear tips are provided by me. I do a lot of my own stuff. Sometimes people send me stuff, but I decided to buy these. I like to buy a lot of tips. I want to talk about my tip cred. I do buy a lot of tips, so let's talk about all the tips I bought in the last year. The first ear tips are the H570. Really sticky, really nice. Then we have the C Audio Exeos ear tips. Then we have the Duno Candy Silicone ear tips. I also bought some of those. And then the Decani Audio Moldable Foam tips. And these really expensive ones. Yeah, I bought some. I'll show you these later. And the Tangzhou Tang Senkai Wideboard. Yeah, bought some of those. And then the Moondrop Spring Tips. Yeah, overrated. Bought some of those. And then I bought the Spin Pit CP100. Yeah, bought those. And then Spin Pit CP145. Oh, so good. Love them. And then the Spin Fit W1. Yeah, also overrated, but pretty good. And then, oh, my baby, Divinus Velvet. Oh, I love them so much. Oh, I also bought these ones. Yeah, I didn't like these much. They're kind of odd. So, yeah, I've bought a lot of tips. And I want to be clear that I'm not just like some guy who's like, oh, yes, that Jadis, he's only bought the ELETECH tips and he just decided to review them. Nah, man. This is a thing. This is a lifestyle. I buy a lot of tips. I bought all those. Here, let's look at my collection. Okay, so this is my collection. You can see a lot of them. There's a lot of tips I have here. You'll see a lot of the tips I mentioned before, plus a lot of the other ones I have from other packaging I put in here. Oftentimes, I just use the Divinus Velvets, or depending on the nozzle size, I'll use something different. But I just wanted to show you guys my little collection. This is the collection that I keep in my back room. I also have a little tip dish that I got from a buddy of mine, and it is fantastic, and I use that at both of my workstations that I work at work and at home. So I have a lot of little tip selections and cases that I use for tips. So yes, my tip cred should be very good. Yes. Okay, now that my tip cred has been established, yeah, I didn't think I'd be saying that at all yesterday, but now that's been established, let's talk about these tips. How are they? I mean, they're pretty good. I'm gonna have to show you a dress that I found online, and this is kind of how it feels in your ear. Yeah, they feel like poofy, like they're just wide. I don't know how to explain it, but they feel like you have some kind of weird long dress on you in your ears, and it's kind of interesting. They give you a lot of security. They're kind of nice. They're not perfect. All right, let's look at this tip. You can tell that's kind of oval. Let's look at the Divinus Velvet. The Divinus Velvet is almost like a cup. It just kind of has almost a parabolic shape and kind of goes straight up. Whereas the Baroque tip is a little bit more round and more like an oval rather than a parabola. And so it kind of feels a little bit different in your ear. I like the Velvets better because I feel like they slide in and out. If you're going to be testing IEMs, I think the Velvets are really good. Plus, if you need to get up and you can use the Velvets, I think they're pretty good. I think the Baroques are fine tips. And, and they kind of bumblebee looking wheel and, pretty box and, all that good stuff. So here's where it's going to get spicy. How do they affect the sound? I mean, I kind of think they don't. I'm going to show you guys a video, and I'll leave the link in the description below. As many of you guys know, I reviewed the Velour on channel not too long ago. Huge fan of it. I don't think it's perfect, but it's a fantastic earphone for what it is and extremely beautiful. But in this question and answer, they actually talk about ear tips just a little bit, and they talk about it being more of a comfort thing. You want to be able to enjoy your earphones and listen to them for a long periods of time. So the Baroque ear tips for me, they have good fit stability, but they don't really seem to do anything for the sound. If anything, because the stability isn't as good for me, it seems like the bass response might be a little bit lower, at least from my findings. Yeah, and this is pretty much my philosophy on tips. I mean, do they matter? I mean, they can. When I first got into the hobby, I owned the Dust 2 for what seemed like the longest time, and I couldn't really have it in ear very long. I preferred headphones. But when I finally got the SpinFit CP145s, I started really liking earphones a great deal more. I feel like I could have them in ear for a great deal longer, and it was just a better experience overall. a few weeks ago, I got the opportunity to review something and I turned it down, and I regret it. I've decided I'm not going to do that. If I get more opportunities to do so, I'm going to review what I can so you guys can kind of get the philosophy of Jadis. So you guys can kind of know how things roll. I think ear tips are a very important part. Every part of your chain is important, from your source to your cable to your earphone, and your tips are all important. But are they important enough to drastically impact the sound? No, I don't think so. I think it's just more about fit and where that ear tip places in your ear. I do a lot of measurements on channel, and I try to talk about measurements, and I do have my own coupler. When I test things on my coupler, I find that even if like a millimeter off, or even like a little tiny bit, will affect the frequency response of an earphone a great deal. So I would imagine that that's kind of what would happen when you put these ear tips in ear. If it fits good in your ear, you're going to want to deal with it longer, and it's going to fit great. If you don't like it in ear, it won't fit nearly as good, and you won't like it nearly as much. I think that's the important thing to remember with ear tips. And I like these ear tips, but they're not my favorite. I think, for me, I like the Divinus Velvets because they feel good in ear. And I think if you like a different ear tip, that's okay. I don't think you need to waste your money on buying tons and tons of ear tips like I have. I think you can enjoy some ear tips. Try the ones that come with the package, because sometimes that can affect things because the nozzle size. But in general, it doesn't matter nearly as much. So I am going to do some testing over the next few days and checking using my coupler to see if these ear tips are actually making a noticeable, measurable difference on things, or which I consider a noticeable difference. And I'll probably getting back to you, within a couple of days, maybe around the 1st or so. We'll let you know. Thanks for watching to the end. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them below. You're still here. It's over. Go home. Go watch another IEM video. It's done. That's the entire video. What more do you want?